If you walked into someone's home 50 years ago, you'd notice something peculiar about their cleaning supplies. Not a wall of colorful bottles, not a cabinet stuffed with sprays and specialized products. Instead, you'd find maybe 5 or 6 basic ingredients that somehow kept their entire house spotless. And here's what modern cleaning companies really don't want you to know. Those people cleaned better than most of us do today. Welcome back to Secret Vault, where we uncover the knowledge that industries have worked hard to make you forget. Your grandparents didn't have the convenience of clicking on Amazon for a specific tile cleaner or a pet odor eliminator or a bathroom spray that promises to kill 99.9% of germs. They had what they had. And because they worked with limited resources, they actually learned how to clean. Not just how to make things look clean, not just how to cover up problems with fragrance, but how to actually remove dirt, grime, and the root causes of mess. Somewhere along the way, an entire industry convinced us that we needed more products to get cleaner results. The opposite is true. Let's start with something so simple that you probably walked past it 1,000 times without thinking twice. Picture this. A time before paper towels dominated every kitchen, when people needed to clean their windows and mirrors without leaving streaks. What did they use? Newspaper. Yes, actual newspapers. And not accidentally. This was intentional. After someone would read the daily paper, the pages got crumpled up and put to work. Here's the weird part. It actually worked better than what we use today. You'd dampen the glass with a little water and vinegar, let it sit for a moment, and then take that crumpled newspaper and buff the surface dry. The texture of the paper, the fibers, the way it moved across the glass, it all conspired to leave windows crystal clear without any of those annoying streaks that seem to appear, no matter how expensive your paper towels are. The cleaning industry replaced this free solution with specialized glass cleaners and premium paper products, both of which you have to keep buying. Think about how many rolls of paper towels your family goes through in a year. Think about how much money that actually costs. Now imagine if your grandparents' approach was actually more effective and cost you nothing. But newspaper was just the beginning of what's been hidden from us. The second secret involves something that probably sits in your kitchen right now, hiding in plain sight. Vinegar, not as a cooking ingredient, though it serves that purpose too, but as a household powerhouse that could tackle jobs requiring 10 different modern products. For generations, people understood that diluted vinegar was acidic enough to cut through certain types of grease and mineral buildup, yet gentle enough that it wouldn't damage most household surfaces. Imagine you have hard water stains around your sink and faucet, those white, crusty deposits that seem to accumulate no matter how often you clean. Modern products want you to buy a specific hard water stain remover. Specialized, targeted, expensive. Your grandparents would simply spray diluted vinegar, let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes and wipe it away. The vinegar dissolves the mineral deposits. No chemicals, no fumes, no label warnings, no disposal concerns, just vinegar. One bottle that costs less than $3 could replace 5 or 6 specialty products in your cabinet. And here's something the cleaning industry really hopes you don't realize. Mixing vinegar with bleach creates chlorine gas, which is dangerous. But vinegar by itself, perfectly safe. This is the kind of knowledge that used to be common sense, passed down from parent to child. Now it's practically underground information that people have to search for on the internet. Now let's talk about something truly forgotten. Before we became obsessed with synthetic fragrances and air fresheners, people took their garbage and turned it into resources. Citrus peels were never just thrown away. They represented potential. Lemon peels, orange peels, lime peels, all of them could be submerged in vinegar and allowed to infuse for weeks. Picture this kitchen ritual. Someone would save their citrus peels in a jar, add vinegar, and simply let time do the work. The citric acid from the fruit combined with the acidity of the vinegar, creating a solution that was both effective and naturally fragrant. When it was ready, you'd strain it, dilute it with water, and suddenly you had a cleaner that smelled fresh without a single artificial ingredient. This is the philosophy that modern cleaning companies have completely erased from our collective memory. Instead of looking at what you already have and asking, how can I use this? We've been trained to ask, what product should I buy? That mindset shift has cost families thousands of dollars over decades, and it's entirely intentional. Moving deeper into forgotten knowledge, the fourth secret takes us to something even more basic than what we've already discussed: soap flakes. Before liquid dish soap dominated every kitchen, bar soap was the ultimate multi-purpose tool. A simple bar of soap could be grated into flakes using a cheese grater, mixed with warm water and transformed into a cleaning solution. That one bar could clean dishes, surfaces, floors, whatever needed cleaning. One ingredient, multiple applications. This is the exact opposite of how modern cleaning aisles are organized. Walk down any cleaning section in a supermarket and you'll see something almost absurd in its redundancy. A spray for the kitchen, a different spray for the bathroom, another spray for glass, something specifically for grease. something else for tough stains. And somehow there's always room for one more product claiming to be extra strength. Our ancestors would look at this and wonder why anyone needed 20 products to clean a house, and they'd be right to wonder. The proliferation of products isn't because we actually need them. It's because entire corporations exist to convince us we do. But the fifth secret is where things get truly interesting, because this one is hiding in nearly everyone's kitchen cabinets right now. Baking soda, if there's one ingredient that survived the transition from old school cleaning to modern times, it's this one. But most people don't actually understand why it was so valuable. Baking soda works as a mild abrasive, not aggressive enough to scratch most surfaces, but textured enough to help lift stubborn grime when combined with a little moisture and some elbow grease. It also absorbs odors, not covers them up, actually absorbs and neutralizes them. Sprinkle some in your refrigerator, and it genuinely removes smells instead of just masking them with artificial fragrance. Put it in a container and leave it in your bathroom, and it actually works. This is why it was such a staple. One inexpensive powder could handle multiple problems. The key was understanding what it actually did and using it appropriately. You wouldn't use it on delicate surfaces. You wouldn't expect it to replace everything. You'd use it where it was genuinely effective. That kind of targeted knowledge has been replaced by the idea that you should just use whatever product the label claims will work, without actually understanding the mechanism behind it. Number 6 might sound almost too simple to be called a secret at all, but simplicity is exactly why it's been forgotten. Boiling water. Think about a greasy pan sitting in your sink. Cold water barely touches the problem. The grease clings to the surface. But add hot water, real, steaming hot water, and suddenly the grease loosens. It becomes manageable. This principle applies throughout a household. Hot water softens residues. It helps remove stuck-on food. It makes grease cutting easier. It sanitizes through heat rather than chemicals. But here's what people don't talk about anymore. Not every surface tolerates boiling water. Some plastics warp under heat. Some adhesives fail. Some finishes can be damaged. Our ancestors understood this through experience. They knew which cookware could handle boiling water and which couldn't. They knew that pouring boiling water directly on certain materials was a bad idea. This wasn't written down in a manual somewhere. It was just known. Part of the basic competence of running a household. Modern cleaning instructions often just tell you to use a product without requiring you to think about the underlying principles. That loss of practical understanding is exactly what allows companies to sell us so many unnecessary products. The 7th secret exists in something so common that most people never think of it as a cleaning tool at all. Salt. Before specialized abrasive powders filled store shelves, ordinary table salt served that purpose. When combined with the right amount of moisture and applied with appropriate pressure, salt acts as a mild abrasive, capable of scrubbing away stubborn residues. It was particularly useful on cookware and surfaces that could tolerate some gentle scrubbing without getting damaged. The ancient practice of using salt to clean cast iron, for example, is something that's actually staged a comeback among people who are rediscovering old methods. But like baking soda, like hot water, like vinegar, the secret isn't the ingredient itself. The secret is knowing when to use it and having the judgment to understand what will and won't work on different materials. This requirement for actual knowledge, for thinking about the problem instead of just reaching for a product, has been systematically removed from modern household management. We've been trained to outsource that thinking to marketing departments and product labels. Moving into number 8, we encounter something that represents a fundamental philosophical shift in how we approach cleanliness: the cleaning brush. Before disposable wipes became ubiquitous, before the entire idea of single-use cleaning products became normalized, households relied on tools that lasted. A good brush could be washed and used again. A cloth could be laundered and reused. This wasn't frugality out of necessity. It was just how things worked. Different brushes served different purposes. A stiff brush for heavy grime on floors or outdoor surfaces. Softer brushes for delicate areas or finished wood. Small detail brushes for corners and tight spaces. Each tool was designed for its job, and each tool was expected to work for years. Compare this to today, where entire product categories are built around disposability. Cleaning wipes are perhaps the perfect example of this shift. You use them once and throw them away. The convenience is real, but the waste is also real. And the cost, over time, is astronomical. Your grandmother's approach wasn't about being poor or lacking options. It was about using resources efficiently. A single good brush with occasional replacement served longer and better than buying disposable alternatives constantly. The philosophy of reuse has almost completely vanished from how we think about cleaning. Number 9 brings us to something so overlooked that it barely registers as a cleaning method in the modern mind. Air and sunlight. Before every household carried multiple aerosol sprays and fabric fresheners and odor eliminators, Before we became convinced that stale smells required chemical intervention, people used the simplest solutions available. Open a window, let air circulate. Hang bedding outside on a clothesline. Leave cushions in the sun, let rugs air out. This wasn't cleaning in the traditional sense of applying something and scrubbing. This was using ventilation and natural UV light to eliminate the root causes of odors and staleness. Think about how much of the modern air freshener industry exists simply because we've become accustomed to spending most of our time in sealed, climate-controlled environments. Fresh air was once considered a core part of household maintenance. Now it's almost forgotten. And yet, if you actually want something to stop smelling stale, ventilation actually works. Better than spraying it with synthetic fragrances. Faster than waiting for an air freshener plug-in to do its job. The reason this method has fallen out of favor has almost nothing to do with its effectiveness. It's simply that you can't profit from selling someone the idea of opening their window. There's no product there, no repeat purchase, no margin, just the free solution that's been available since the beginning of time. And this leads directly to the final secret, which might be the most important of all. Number 10, the principle of actually removing problems instead of covering them up. This is the foundational philosophy that separated old school household management from modern consumption-based cleaning. If something smelled bad, you didn't spray fragrance over it. You found out why it smelled. Was it moisture? Dry it? Was it trapped food residue? Remove it. Was it the garbage can itself getting too full? Empty it? Was ventilation poor? Improve it. In other words, you identified the source and eliminated it. Modern marketing has trained us to think differently. It's convinced us that cleaning is about masking problems, making things smell fresh, making them look clean, making them appear sanitary. But actual cleanliness, actual hygiene, actual removal of problems, that requires a different approach. It requires thinking. It requires diagnosis. It requires understanding cause and effect. And it's far harder to sell products based on that philosophy than it is to sell products based on simply covering up symptoms. Here's what our ancestors knew that we've managed to forget. Cleaning isn't complicated. It's actually quite simple. If something is greasy, you need something that cuts grease. Vinegar works for mineral buildup because it's acidic. Baking soda works for odors because it absorbs them. Hot water works because heat loosens residues. Friction from scrubbing works because physical action removes stuck-on material. Air works because it removes moisture and staleness. These aren't mysteries. They're basic principles that, once understood, make you capable of handling most household cleaning challenges without reaching for a different product every time something gets dirty. But there's something even deeper happening here that connects to why Secret Vault exists in the first place. There was a time when households operated on a principle of competence. You understood how your home worked. You understood cleaning because you did it regularly with simple, basic ingredients. You understood how to make things last. You understood how to solve problems. That competence has been systematically replaced with dependency. Dependency on products. Dependency on purchasing solutions. Dependency on marketing telling you what you need. Every product sold is a vote against the idea that you're capable of managing your own household. Every new specialty cleaner is an argument that you couldn't possibly figure this out yourself. This isn't to suggest that every old method was superior or that all modern cleaning products should be abandoned. Some historical approaches were dangerous. Some were ineffective. Modern cleaners can absolutely be useful for specific jobs, but somewhere in the transition, we lost something important. We lost the understanding that most cleaning problems are actually quite solvable with basic knowledge and basic ingredients. We lost the philosophy of using fewer things more intelligently instead of collecting more products, hoping that one of them will work. Next time you're standing in the cleaning aisle, looking at wall after wall of products, each claiming to be the solution to a problem you didn't know you had, stop for a moment. Ask yourself if you actually need another bottle. Ask yourself if there's something simpler hiding in your kitchen. A bottle of vinegar, some baking soda, a good brush, some salt, fresh air. Because the real secret, and this is what the cleaning industry really doesn't want you to figure out, is that most household cleaning doesn't require products at all. It requires knowledge. It requires a little time. It requires understanding what you're actually trying to remove and using the right method instead of the most expensive option. The forgotten cleaning secrets of the past aren't valuable because everything old is better. They're valuable because they represent a different way of thinking, a way that emphasizes understanding over consumption, competence over convenience, actual results over the appearance of cleanliness. And if you're starting to see a pattern here, if you're beginning to understand that so much of what we're sold is built on making us forget how to do things ourselves, well, that's exactly why you're here at Secret Vault. Because sometimes the most powerful knowledge isn't the newest, it's the oldest. And sometimes the best solution has been sitting in your cabinets the entire time.